All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, worldwide on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of terrestrial and satellite programming providers. If you'd like to give us a call, 800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And our main website, where you can listen to the X Zone 724-365, is www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest tonight at this hour is Ray Hernandez. He is an experiencer and is currently employed as an estate tax attorney with the IRS, U.S. Department of Treasury. He was previously the director of the Center for a Substantial Urban Environment at the City University of New York and director of the Office Community Environmental Planning for the City of New York. He has attended Rutgers College, Cornell University, and was a PhD candidate at UC Berkeley in the City and Regional Planning. He was also the recipient of a National Science Foundation PhD fellowship, and Ray resides with his family in the beautiful city of Miami, Florida. Now, Ray is with us tonight to talk to us about a new organization that has been formed, X Zone Nation. It's called the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Frontiers. Their website is experiencer.co. And joining me now from Miami is Ray Hernandez. And Ray, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you, Rob. I just want to make a slight correction. It's Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters.
I'm sorry.
And it's free for short.
Free for short. What was the idea for the creation of free?
Well, the main objective of free is we are a consortium of various organizations and individuals that are taking a totally radical approach to the ET contact phenomenon. We have on board 5 physicists. The most well-known, 2 of the most well-known are Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the 6th man on the moon, the founder of the Institute for Noetic Sciences, and the father of modern consciousness studies. And the other individual is Dr. Rudy Shields, who's an emeritus professor of astrophysics at Harvard University and is still the world's leading expert in black holes. So what our approach at FREE is that instead of viewing the ET contact phenomenon as purely as an abduction phenomenon, that the mainstream media is presenting this phenomenon, we see it as much, much more complex. The approximate 20 individuals and our members of our advisory board and our 10 consultants, we see this phenomenon as having a multi-dimensional reality which can be explained through advanced physics, namely the quantum hologram theory of physics, and one of its derivative, which is consciousness. And we see the aspects of the various paranormal experiences, such as near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, mystical travel, the shamanic journeys, all of that as interrelated to the ET contact phenomenon, because in each of these different experiences or modalities of contact, individuals have experienced contacts with non-human intelligent beings. And the quantum hologram theory of physics and its derivative explanation of the physics of consciousness help to explain all of the paranormal phenomenon. And as Dr. Rudy Shields explained it, he calls them the modern miracles. So that pretty much is a nutshell of why this organization is differentiated from all the other organizations that are out there, because we are incorporating advanced physics. We actually have 5 physicists in our group. We are incorporating different aspects of the modalities of ET contact, i.e., through the various paranormal phenomenon.
All right, Ray. Ray, we've got to take a commercial break. Ray, please stand by. Exonation, Ray Hernandez is our special guest this hour, and we're talking about FREE, Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. And if you'd like to visit their website, is experiencer.co. And Ray Hernandez and I will return on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Exonation, Ray Hernandez is our special guest this hour. He is with FREE. It's an organization that is dedicated to solving the problems, or solving the mystery, I should say, that has plagued this world when it comes to extraterrestrial visitations as well as other aspects of the paranormal. The organization is called FREE, which stands for Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, and their website is experiencer.com. Now, Ray, I understand you're an experiencer. Can you tell us some of your experiences?
Well, I'll try to be very brief because I want to focus on FREE. Mm-hmm. But before March of 2012, I was your typical overeducated atheist, material rationalist. I never had paid any particular attention to the topics of ufology or the paranormal, or really anything spiritual. And back in March of 2012, my wife and I had an encounter in our living room with a plasma energy being, which healed our Jack Russell Terrier, who the night before was totally paralyzed, and we were going to be putting her to sleep that same day. The very next day. Mm-hmm. And it controlled both of our minds. I won't go into those details, but and then my wife began seeing very large crafts for several months afterwards. In one particular incident, it was witnessed by her entire family when she went to visit them in Mexico. And in August of 2012, myself, together with my then 10-year-old daughter and 3 other adult witnesses, we saw a huge stadium-sized craft literally 50 feet away from us on top of our neighbor's house. And we saw that for approximately 45 minutes. My daughter and I saw it for 45 minutes, and my friends saw it for about 20 minutes. And it was semi-translucent, and it was composed of thousands and thousands of oblong lights, which then, after my friends began trying to come up with possible scientific explanations of what they were seeing, the lights patterns completely changed to thousands and thousands of very large stars that were blinking on and off in a fraction of a second. So then after it made that transition, then it was no doubt what the structure was, and it was a cloaked craft. And it was huge. It was like the size of a football stadium. And it was literally 50 feet from us, and it was approximately maybe 10 feet. The bottom of it was 10 feet from the roof of our next neighbor's house. And then there are many other experiences similar to that, but those are just two examples of some of the crazy experiences that we've gone through.
So tell me about how Free was actually formed. Who had the idea? Who went out and actually recruited all the different members?
Well, again, this is a very lengthy story, but again, I'll try to be very, very brief. I had a download, an ET telegram, I called it, when I was in the middle of a traffic jam. Mm-hmm. And I saw a video associated with it. And what the download was that I needed to form an organization discussing the relationship between ETs, the spirit world, and quantum physics. And then I am not a math person or a physics person, so I was totally bewildered at that time, and I called my only friend that is an experiencer at that time, and at 8:30 in the morning, I called her up and I told her what had happened, and she just said, don't freak out. I've had something similar to this before. And then that same night when I got home, I got an email from Mary Rodwell, who's one of the world's most famous ET contact researchers. She's extremely well known in England and in Europe, not so much in the U.S. because most of the time she spends out there in England and in the rest of Europe, but she resides in Australia. And so she said, "Dear Ray, I'm sorry I'm answering this email 6 months late, but I just found this email." And it was an email that I had sent to her like about 6 months ago about the experience that my daughter, myself, and my 3 friends had seen that huge craft outside a house. Then I responded by saying, this is what happened today. And so at that point she said, well, we need to talk because I've never heard, someone having such a close encounter with such a large craft for such a long time. And then we talked on Skype, and then she told me that she was a very dear friend of Dr. Rudy Shields, who's a retired professor of astrophysics at Harvard. And then the very next day at 9:30 in the morning, this professor called me. And then at that time, he told me that I needed to form this organization, to be creative, to figure something out, and that he would be my scientific advisor. He then also gave me the telephone number of Dr. Edgar Mitchell, who was his mentor. Right. And he told me that he would call Edgar Mitchell up as well, which he did. And then I managed to call Edgar up later on, and then Edgar invited me to his house.
So the communications that you received, where did they come from? What's the origin of these communications? And let me ask you this, Ray, because the size of the UFO that you described that was seen hovering over a house the size of a football field stadium, 10 feet from the roof, 50 feet from where you were standing, did anyone else in the neighborhood see this craft? Did anyone take a picture?
Well, first of all, to respond to the where this thing came from, this message, I have no idea.
Okay.
It wasn't like a voice of someone else. It was like my own voice that was inside my head, very loud and very clear. So I knew it wasn't a thought. It was a distinct message because it was very lengthy. But it was like a thought, that came into my mind. So it's not like what one might think that, it's someone else's voice that's beaming in your head. No, it wasn't like that. And plus there was a video of like a spinning wheel spinning all around, and I was in the middle of it, and it had spokes, and inside all of these spokes were different paranormal phenomenon. And what was holding everything together was quantum physics. And in terms of what happened outside the house, first of all, part of our consciousness was controlled. We don't have enough time to explain, all the details of it. But basically, we were sort of in a semi-hypnotized state because we were not conscious of the reality of the true reality of that UFO out there. We were chatting like you and I are chatting now. But for example, My friend, after watching this thing for 15 or 20 minutes, all of a sudden they said, "Oh, we got to go. We got to leave." And they left, and I didn't even question their leaving. I didn't even question, you're watching a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and you got to go? That's crazy. Everyone had their cameras, including the 17-year-old, which is their daughter.
Right.
Teenagers are always with their cell phones,
Yeah.
The neighbor that lives right underneath the house where this thing was taking place, they turned on their lights from their living room because they saw these 5 people that were just looking above their roof, for all this time. And they had their light on for like a minute or two, and then they turned it off. Now, the logical thing to do would be, knock on his door and say, "Pablo, get the hell out. Look what's on top of your roof." That didn't even come into my mind. Also, after my friends had left, my daughter and I stayed watching this for another 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, I felt like I was being attacked by mosquitoes. And I was wearing shorts and I was flapping my legs.
Right.
And so then I grabbed my daughter and I said, "Come on, Scott, these mosquitoes are killing me. Let's go inside." So we went inside the house, and meanwhile, this thing was still going on outside. This 4th of July fireworks, light show. And so 5 minutes after we got inside, my daughter goes to me, "Daddy, there were no mosquitoes outside." And all of a sudden, it's like the hypnotist said, "Wake up, kid. We're done with you."
Right.
And all of a sudden, I woke up to the reality, holy cow, what the hell just happened? So I grabbed my video and my camera. I ran outside. Nothing was there. So that is at least my own explanation. I could only speak for myself of why someone doesn't take a camera, why all these so-called logical scenarios don't play out. Because people don't understand that these entities are so advanced that it can actually capture and manipulate part of your consciousness, part of your thought pattern, where you're thinking you're having a normal conversation like you and I are having now, but up to a certain line you cannot cross. And that's the line dealing with the rationality of your contact experience.
All right, let me ask you this. The sighting, did it take place in the city of Miami?
Oh, yes. We live in the city of Miami. We live in a very large cul-de-sac, an upper middle-class neighborhood. And this craft, it appeared at about 9:30 at night.
Wow.
And we're literally maybe 4 blocks from a major thoroughfare.
Did anyone else make any reports of this sighting to newspapers, to air traffic control, or to law enforcement?
Well, after that experience happened, I made a report to MUFON because
no. That's not what I asked. I said, did anyone else who?
No, not that I'm aware of. No.
No. Do you find that strange?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you find that strange?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because, as I said, it was a totally cloudy night.
Yeah.
People should have seen it logically.
Yeah.
But as I said, we're thinking in a rational, scientific way, the way we would normally be thinking of these things. Okay. Back behind us, at that time, there's a 2-lane street on either side.
Ray, I've got to take my news break. Please stand by. This is a fascinating story. And when we come back, I just want to finish off with this sighting, and I want to get more into the meat and potatoes of what free is and, what you intend on solving. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. For more information on Ray Hernandez and the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, visit experiencer.co. We'll be back. Don't go away. I'm Rob McConnell, and welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Today on the X Zone, are people really being abducted by aliens? Are people really being abducted by aliens? Well, if you were to ask 9-year-old Ryan from Port Colborne, Ontario,
He would show you the marks on his hands and tell you about the night he was teleported from his bedroom into a hovering UFO over his home, and about the experiments the aliens conducted on him. Dr. Roger Lear, a medical doctor in California, has extracted 11 implants from people in Canada and the United States who have only one thing in common. They have all had encounters with UFOs. 70% of all Americans believe they have seen a UFO. 40% of them believe they have been abducted. Maybe E.T. never went home. Join me, Rob McConnell, for another story from the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology when next we meet in the X Zone, the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard.
Welcome back, everyone. Ray Hernandez is our special guest this hour, and Ray is telling us about an organization that he founded after receiving a message from extraterrestrials. The organization that he created with many co-directors is FREE, the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, and their website is experiencer.co. Tell us more. I love your experience that you were telling us about that happened in downtown, basically in mid-Miami. The fact that there were no reports to the media, there were no reports to law enforcement and air traffic control. You did make a report to MUFON. Nobody took pictures. These are all very interesting aspects to the story. But I'd like to get back to the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about, Ray, and that's FREE. So what would you like to tell the listening audience of the X Zone about the organization that you created, the Foundation for the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters?
Okay. Actually, there are various co-founders. I already mentioned Dr. Edgar Mitchell and Dr. Rudy Shields. Another one is Mary Rodwell from Australia and Christina Knowles from Boston. But some of our members of our advisory board are Whitley Strieber. We have Barbara Lamb. We have Dr. John Climo, who in my opinion is the world's leading academic authority on parapsychology. We have Dr. Leo Sprinkle, who's also a retired PhD psychologist, and he's the pioneer of alien abduction and alien contact experiences. And then we have, in total, 5 physicists in our group. We have a research DNA specialist from Australia, Giles Campbell. We have 3 other professors in our group, and we have 5 PhD psychologists and several other experiencers.
Okay, so you've got a lot of academia there. No two ways about it. But how is your organization going to be different from any other organization out there? And how do you expect to gain the success that no one else has been able to gain so far?
Well, one project that we're doing is we're doing the first ever long-term academic research study on the ET contact phenomenon. And that project is being chaired by these two retired professors of psychology. John Climo, as I said a little bit about his background, he has chaired over 200 PhD dissertations. And then to support him, we have 12 of the world's best researchers in this phenomenon. Whitley Strieber, Kathleen Martin from MUFON, Denise Stoner from MUFON, Craig Lang from MUFON, and some of the other names that I mentioned before. And we have a survey embedded in our website, and we're in the process of developing many other secondary research instruments. We have 30 interviewers, which are going to be interviewing the individuals that responded to the initial survey in our website. And this is going to be the first ever long-term study of individuals that have had contact with non-human intelligent beings. So that's one thing that differentiates us. Secondly,
let's just stop here and just I've got a couple of questions I'd like to ask you about this survey.
Surely.
Is this survey going to be done in association with any recognized school of learning?
Yes, Dr. John Climo is a professor.
Oh no! That's not what I'm asking. Are you going to be doing this survey in conjunction with a university, for example, MIT, Yale, Harvard, UCLA, or is this going to be totally independent?
If you could find me a university that would be willing to sponsor this study, we will approach them. But this is a totally taboo subject. First of all, the topic of UFOs, let alone individuals that have had contact with non-human intelligent beings. In and of itself is something that's not going to, at this point, going to be able to have a collaboration.
So
Once we have our findings, let me answer, please.
I beg your pardon?
If you could let me respond. Once we have our initial findings, then the strategy is to approach various institutions that are doing studies on transpersonal psychology or other similar areas to then make co-relationships with these universities.
Oh, okay.
So this is just the first step.
All right. So why don't you think established and credible schools of learning don't take ufology seriously?
Because there isn't sufficient data. There's been very little study in terms of the ET contact phenomenon. The various professors that I mentioned, Leo Sprinkle and John Climo, are two of the very few academics that you can count on your hand that have actually done any type of academic research on this phenomenon. We have two out of the 6 or 7 academics that have done research in this area.
And what
we're going to be doing is basically doing a comprehensive study of this phenomenon, which has never been done before.
All right, so tell me, if these other people who are PhDs or whatever qualifications they have that are academics, if they have done research into this, what have their findings been up to date?
They have done minimal research on this topic area, and the research that has been done has not been able to be published in any reputable academic journals because they have all refused to publish this because they do not even accept this phenomenon to begin with. Dr. John Mack's book, for example, his research, he wasn't able to even publish his studies in reputable academic studies, and he was a tenured Harvard professor at Harvard Medical School, a psychiatrist.
I understand that. I understand his credentials. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of speaking to Dr. Mack in the past. But once again, my question is, if this topic is so prevalent as it is to the few believers that are out there, and if there was enough information to substantiate the claims that are being made by experiencers, those who see it, alien abductees, implants, and so on, why haven't the credible universities, learning establishments, and members of the scientific community taken this task on to actually investigate to the fullest possibilities that the UFO phenomenon is real and not a psychological condition?
Very easy responses. A professor will not tackle this task because he will not get tenure. He will not be able to publish any of his findings anywhere. And if you wish to get tenure as an academic professor, it's publish or perish. Very simple response.
All right, so why are the people who are joining your organization or being co-directors, why are they willing to put their reputations on the line?
Because all of them are retired. All of them have been professors and have published hundreds of papers on black holes, on quantum physics, or transpersonal psychology, etc., the standard mainstream literature, and now they can do what they really want to do.
Is anybody
and not worry about being tenured or not.
All right, so the fact that they're retired and they can publish what they want now, are people, their peers, going to take them seriously when they publish anything?
Well, as I said earlier, nothing has been published in this area. So this is a long-term process of educating individuals that this is a real phenomenon. that there's actually 5 physicists, all these scientists backing it up, and that there's actually advanced physics backing up this phenomenon of a quantum hologram and people having contact with non-human intelligent beings through this process.
Yes, but these are people within your organization who all have a common goal. We're not looking at quantum physicists around the world or psychologists around the world getting on board to be part of this. Or, because what I see is happening here, you've got a group of dedicated believers, dedicated experiencers who are going to do their very best within an organization to supply their colleagues who refused to do anything in this field the possibility of coming up with some explanations, hoping to get recognition and solving a phenomenon.
What is your question, Rob?
That was a statement. It wasn't a question.
Yes. Okay.
So,
yes.
So basically, it's from what I understand is are you doing the same thing that MUFON is doing?
Oh no. We're working with experiencers. We're doing, as I said earlier, a scientific long-term study of the experiencer contact phenomenon, which is a study that's never been done before.
Okay.
MUFON does not work with experiencers, and they certainly do not research the experiencer phenomenon. So that clearly distinguishes us from MUFON.
I see.
And in terms of changing the perception of other academics, which is the statement that you had stated earlier, obviously this is a long-term process because this is the ultimate taboo in our society. That there are UFOs out here, and even more of a taboo is that individuals are interacting with these intelligent beings associated with these UFOs.
Yeah. What evidence do you have, or does your organization have, or do any of the members of your organization have that UFOs are real?
Well, we have enough evidence to put you in the death chair here in Florida if the 5 people that saw that UFO testify against you, if you committed a crime here in Florida. So that's one clear factor. This is all evidence of their testimony of these individuals. And what I stated earlier is that the people do not understand the complexities of this phenomenon. As I said, these entities are able to tap right into your brain, know exactly what you're thinking, able to control part of your consciousness, and I could only explain for myself and what I've heard from others. But in my case, the issues of a camera, the issues of thinking logically, are not subjects that come up when you're interacting with these beings. And that's something that a lot of people don't know about.
Well, after listening to your story about the size of this craft hovering over a house in Miami,
it was transparent.
So how do you know it was there if you didn't see it?
No, I didn't say I didn't see it.
So,
we all saw it.
Okay, so how can you see
pictures of it?
How can you see something that's transparent? That makes no sense.
No, it was semi-transparent. I said it was made up of thousands and thousands of oblong streaks of light initially, which then transitioned to thousands and thousands of stars that were approximately 10 times the size of Venus. So it was clearly visible from at least 5 or 10 blocks on the periphery of where we were.
Wow. Now,
but what it wasn't a solid object like an airplane right in front of you.
Okay. So how would the members of FREE investigate this, or how would they approach this in a scientific manner to explain what you saw?
FREE was not set up to duplicate what MUFON is doing. We're not here to investigate UFOs, whether they're valid or not. We're just here to document the testimony that individuals are stating that have had contact with non-human intelligent beings. We're here to document that in a long-term academic study for the first time ever. We're not here to explain scientifically what people are seeing.
So why
we're totally different objectives.
So why do you have all these scientists and academia as part of your organization if you're not going to explain the phenomenon?
We are explaining the phenomenon. We're explaining the individuals that have interacted with these beings from the very beginning to the very end, and we're documenting that for the first time in a comprehensive study through surveys and lengthy interviews. And the physicists are involved in all of the experiencers themselves.
I see.
These are people who have graduated from MIT, from Harvard, University of Chicago, Oxford, Caltech.
But if I'm
and they're all experiencers, and these are individuals that have had their own phenomenon. They're certainly not crazy or nuts, and they're here to explain the physics of why this is interacting.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our final break. Exo Nation, Ray Hernandez is our guest, and we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Canada. We'll be back. Don't go away. Ray Hernandez is our guest. Experiencer.co is the website. Now, Ray, is this is the research that you people are going to be doing in your scientific survey or research? Is it going to be just in the United States, or is it going to be open to the rest of the world?
Right now, it's in English. So anyone that's able to communicate in English will be able to take our initial survey instrument, which is embedded in our website. And then we have interviewers, almost all of them are English-speaking. We do have 3 or 4 that are Spanish-speaking individuals. But at this point, the initial survey instrument is not in Spanish.
Okay. What type of interviews will you be conducting with these people, and what are the qualifications of those who are doing the interviewing to make sure that the proper information is acquired from your witnesses?
No, the proper information is going to be a structured interview. We have various open-ended questions, and then we have various forced choice questions that the interviewee will be taking. So and they will be trained by our 2 professors in terms of the open-ended questions. So it's not like they could just do what the hell they want. It's very specifically structured, this whole process. And we have a series right now of approximately 20 different secondary research questionnaires that they will be conducting.
Wow. Are you going to make your information public?
Most definitely.
Your research, I should say,
we
public?
have the protocols. We have the protocols public on our website. So individuals can scrutinize the methodology right on our website, and not only the findings, but the actual data will be made public.
Wow! Now, how long has FREE been in existence?
It's been in existence approximately a year, but our website was only published as of September 1st of this year.
Ray, what is the message you'd like to get to the X-Zone listeners tonight?
To go to our website, experiencer.co. There you'll be reading by many PhD academics from numerous fields, providing a diversity of explanations and discussions about this phenomenon. You'll also be hearing stories by experiencers telling their own individual stories. We have an experiencer forum, so if anyone has had any type of contact with non-human intelligent beings, they could go to that forum and share their stories. And we also have various types of support projects, like an experiencer buddy, if you need someone to talk to. through these experiences.
All right,
So
Ray.
it's a quite array of different projects.
Ray, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Our time is up for tonight. And let me see, Ray Hernandez, Experiencer.com, Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. A UFO the size of a football field, made of lights, translucent, over a house, multiple witnesses, four or five witnesses that we know of, no pictures taken, no reports made to any media, law enforcement, or air traffic control. Am I missing something here? Okay. And an organization that has a number of retired professionals. Why they're doing this? Because established academia and the scientific community doesn't want to touch it. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue right here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'll be back. Don't go away.